Hey, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Boon of Wireless Podcast, now part of Wirelo. Yes, Wirelo, revolutionizing the way businesses in the wireless industry connect, collaborate, and thrive. As a premier B2B marketplace, Wirelo's platform is designed to cater specifically to the needs of the wireless store vendors in America. Find them at wirelo.com. I am your host, Jon Horovitz, coming to you as always, high above the streets of northern New Jersey at ANJ Media. Yes, New Jersey, the state we no longer make fun of, going on 2 weeks strong. All right, today we welcome back Adam Wolf, president of the National Wireless Independent Dealer Association, or NWIDA, the only trade and advocacy group representing the independent wireless dealers in the United States. Adam is making history today by having his third appearance on the program, the first to do that. And he's off a very successful 2025 filled with more vendor partners to serve the ever-growing base of dealers, MVNOs, and carriers in our industry. If you know Adam, you know he's never been shy or afraid to be outspoken in support for his independent wireless dealers. And today we look for his candor and honesty as well. During Adam's take on the recently completed Consumer Electronics Show, we aim to solve for this question: how can wireless retailers plan for and succeed in 2026? So please welcome back to the broadcast, the king of West Orange, New Jersey, Adam Wolf. Adam, how are you?
John, thanks. You told me we're going to record at this time. I'm waiting for my 3 jacket to show up. I haven't seen it yet.
Well, the 3 jacket doesn't exist. You actually have to be on 5 times to get the jacket, and I'm sure that is not going to happen. So it's good to see you. Happy New Year again. Why don't we jump right into it? A lot going on. It's a new year. 2025 was, from everything that I've read and heard, was another banner year in all aspects of wireless and mobility. Let's talk a little bit about the recently concluded Consumer Electronics Show and your thoughts on that, and what can our dealers, MVNOs, and carriers to some point take from that show and get themselves set up for success in the coming year?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. NWIDA is an affiliate association of CTA, which is the group that puts on CES. Unfortunately, we weren't able to attend this year, but I kept a very close contact with a lot of people who were there, heard about what was going on. Obviously, the big thing across CES was AI, which we'll touch on a little bit. But one of the big themes was that connectivity is becoming invisible. In fact, and kind of what I mean by that, it's becoming a product that provides different experiences and provides local connectivity through different technologies, through Wi-Fi, through cellular, and even cellular gets broken down into eSIM and IoT and some other things. And basically, the users have never cared how they're connected. They just want their device to work, and that right. Theme continues on.
When you say it's invisible, was it visible? No plug to our friends over at Verizon. Is it something that was in front of us that we just didn't see it?
When I mean it was quote unquote visible, it would be more along the lines of you had to know if you had a Bluetooth device or a Wi-Fi device and how it connected to your other devices and into your lifestyle. And that is kind of becoming more and more invisible behind the scenes, where you can now get something and it works, whether that's in home automation, whether that's in a quote-unquote plain old cell phone. It's just working because these devices are carrying more and more radios, and they can connect more and more ways.
That's interesting, Adam. Last week on the podcast, we had Amir Abulhussein from Netlink on talking about the connectivity piece, where you don't even need to contact the carrier or the MVNO's customer service department anymore to port a number, that this is all done through entitlements that you get from the, your handset connected to the network. What do our dealers need to do to embrace this new concept of invisible connection?
Well, two things. One, T-Mobile famously came out and advertised that you could switch to T-Mobile in 15 minutes. You don't need to call anybody; just do it through their app. And they caught an immediate and a large amount of flack, mostly from the other carriers, about doing that. I don't know how well it works right now. It's certainly going to work very well in the future. It's a little bit of Back to the Future. Jon, I know you remember the days of if you wanted to switch carriers, you had a dealer or a shop just reprogram the current phone that you had, and you went from carrier A to carrier B. And then as the industry switched to digital and carriers chose different technologies, you had to physically buy a new device. Even if you had, for example, an iPhone, you had to buy that same iPhone, but on the other carrier because the radios inside were different.
Right.
Now we're kind of back to the future where if you want to switch carriers, you can, especially with eSIM, you can just scan a QR code and all the programming is done for you behind the scenes. And you have now, in 15 minutes or so, switched carriers. So we've gone back to the future with that. As far as what the dealers need to know that they're going to be selling products that, quote unquote, just work. That hopefully they're not going to have a lot of customer service issues. The customer is going to take that device back to their home or their office. They're going to turn it on. They may have to download an app or scan a code, and then everything's going to be tied into their own ecosystem.
Well, what would you think of this quote that I read? And I don't know the source. Wireless is moving from a product you buy to an experience you expect. Dealers need to be their local customers' local connectivity expert. Is that kind of a ground floor now for success in 2026 and beyond?
Well, I think it has been. Except if you just swap out the word connectivity for wireless. We've always told dealers that if you want to be successful, if you want to beat the other stores in your neighborhood, if you want to beat the big box especially, become your neighborhood local wireless expert. So that now just is expanded upon to your local connectivity expert, because as we discussed, things are connecting via different technologies. But if somebody wants to connect their phone to a Bluetooth speaker, if they want to connect to a Bluetooth headset, if they want to connect to, an Apple tag or some other kind of Bluetooth type tracker, now ultra wideband is coming in. I saw some stuff at CES where while there are smart locks today and you hold your phone up to the lock to unlock it, with ultra wideband, you can keep your phone in your jacket pocket or in your purse. And as long as you're close enough, the signal is strong enough that it's going to open. So it's the same thing. It's just more, for lack of a better term. Instead of becoming your local wireless expert, you become your local connectivity expert. And absolutely, that is a way for a dealer to excel.
On top of the AI and all the other stuff that, eSIM that was out in Las Vegas last week, satellite. And it looks like satellite is now not a novelty. It's part of the provider's connectivity stack. And are we going to see more and more of that?
Absolutely. So it started with Global Star and Inmarsat. I was actually a Global Star dealer back in the day. And then I guess it's been a couple of years now that T-Mobile announced their partnership, first allowing texting only. So if you're out hiking in the middle of mountains where you're not going to get any cellular coverage and you need an emergency, you can send a text. Motorola also makes a similar type device that connects to your phone via Bluetooth. So as long as you're within, you kind of keep those two things close to each other, and the Motorola box hooks up to the satellite. But the carriers are getting more and more involved. AT&T recently announced theirs. Verizon recently announced theirs. T-Mobile has moved from texting only to actually voice calls. And I think they announced MMS, where you can actually send a picture or a map of where you are. We're not to the point where your iPhone is going to provide you global coverage with everything you have in it now. But if you are kind of in an emergency situation where you're not getting coverage, you can flip to the satellite networks, and like carriers do, they're all using different ones. which is fine. But as long as you have line of sight to the sky, and it used to be facing south, I don't know if that's still as accurate, but you do need line of sight to the sky. You'll be able to send a text or make a phone call.
So it's not then for the people that are writing the checks to the carriers on infrastructure. It's not about just towers anymore. It's up in the sky now with satellites, right?
It's not about just towers anymore. Look, one of the mantras from the carriers has always been, it's got to work. We don't make any money if the people can't use their phones.
I was keeping up on the happenings at CES and had a lot of folks out there that I work with and friends. They were talking about Wi-Fi 8. I learned something new. I thought Wi-Fi was Wi-Fi. I didn't know there was a Wi-Fi 1 through 6. Wi-Fi 7 is, I think, what we're on now, but they tease about Wi-Fi 8. What's going on here? What does 7 do? What is 8 going to do?
It's very similar to cellular, right? We're now in 5G with cellular. There was a 4G, a 3G, a 2G. So it's kind of the same deal. Wi-Fi gets faster and smarter. So I would say that most people, if your router and your Wi-Fi systems are within a year or two old, you probably have Wi-Fi 6. Wi-Fi 7 is just really kind of starting to get mainstream. But just like they were talking about 6G in wireless at CES, they were talking about Wi-Fi 8, neither of which exist in the real world, just in labs right now. But where that fits into wireless is really with the service providers, whether they be carrier or more to the point MVNOs, that rely on Wi-Fi first. And predominantly, those are the cable companies.
Right.
So
Cable
Xfinity
yep.
Mobile, Spectrum, Cox,
Others,
everybody who's...
Cox, yep.
Yep. Any cable company who's doing cellular has their phones programmed to go Wi-Fi first and then fall back to the cellular network. And they did that because they've spent a gazillion dollars building out their Wi-Fi networks. So as they upgrade those Wi-Fi antennas to 6 and then 7 and then 8, you're going to get better coverage, faster network splicing, do more things, get more people on the same tower. Kind of the same stuff that 5G does, 6G is going to do in wireless.
We've joked about it, and I've talked about it on this program, and no one's really come back to say no, but I'm a big proponent that 5G didn't deliver what it was supposed to.
Oh, absolutely.
There are now 6G is in the works, but is Wi-Fi 7, are the customers, the subscribers, users actually going to see some sort of improvement?
They will, because when Wi-Fi 6 kind of took hold mainstream, the first thing that they saw an improvement was in coverage. So if your router was in your basement, you could now suddenly get coverage in your upstairs bedroom. And it was also easier to add different access points. And so if you needed a little booster box, it was easier to have everything talk to each other and boost the signal. That was probably the biggest benefit. I mean, yeah, it's faster. And with more and more people working from home, since, going back 5 years now since the pandemic, which is when work from home really started, having a more stable and a faster connection became even more important, because it wasn't people just, on their laptops. They were actually working. And as television goes to more and more streaming, as people buy smart TVs and Fire Sticks or Roku sticks or other streaming sticks, Wi-Fi becomes increasingly important, and especially the capacity.
All right, let's go to my favorite term from the last half of 2025, which was AI exhaustion. Okay, I mean, AI is everywhere.
Be careful, John. Our robot overlords are listening.
Yes, they are. And Skynet is probably going to, take my house away. But for those of you who don't know what Skynet is, please reference 1986. All right. AI, you said to me, we were shooting the breeze last week after CES, and you said that AI has finally gone from being a buzzword to being the actual plumbing, or whatever runs your house, the grid So what did you mean by that? Share with our listeners.
It was literally everywhere. And it's great for carriers, the people who are actually running the towers, because it can help with network optimization and things like that. You can actually bring it into the dealer shop as well.
Wow, that's important. Okay, dealers. So now listen, Adam is going to give us some great advice. How do they bring AI into their retail location?
Before I say anything about how, there's the standard warning that don't take what AI gives you, copy, paste, and let it go. Make sure that you actually read it over and double check everything. But if you're a repair shop, you can use it to help generate your customer intake form. If you're not a repair shop, if you're any kind of shop, you can use it to help with marketing. It will give you ideas on how to have certain quote unquote special days to bring customers into the shop. Whether where you're just not waiting for them because they need a new phone or a new accessory or a new whatever. So it will give you really good ideas on how to generate, as we say in the business, door swings. And the key to AI, especially in retail, is to become proficient in writing the prompt. Don't just say, how do I get more customers in my store? You have to think about the prompt. You have to write the prompt. The better you write the prompt, the better your response will be. And kind of ironically, AI will actually help you write the prompt if you ask it.
It's taking away menial tasks, if I'm correct, of things that can be done. I shared an experience I had calling customer service for not a wireless product, but for something else. And I had an AI person, and you wouldn't know that this was not a live human being. It didn't tell me to press 1, press 2, press 3. I had a conversation with this person. And at the end, I said, are you a real person? And they said, thank you. Is there anything else we can help you today? And I was like, wow. And so,
that's available to dealers. So
yes,
if
yes.
It's something, do you repair this? What time do you open till? Do you carry XYZ brand phones? All that can be, loaded into the system. And John, you and I know one of the biggest issues in any store for the last 15 years is not enough employees. Well, if you only have one or two folks working and you don't need to answer the phone to answer the same question you've answered 83 times today, and you can actually help the people in the store, there's a win.
In your opinion, do most people understand that AI is not just something to get information, but that as you work with it, it's learning with you?
Probably not. They might pick up on the more they use it, the better it gets. But I don't know. All AI that most people are using, obviously ChatGPT being the most famous, but there are others, are what's called LLM, which is large learning machines. So you just said it, learning. They are learning every time you type in a prompt, every time somebody else types in a prompt. And if you launch a private one, which again are available on your website, okay, spoiler alert, we're in alpha testing of ours. It's coming out soon. But you'll have a little AI pop-up box, and it says, whatever you want to ask about the association, it will learn and it will answer you. But if somebody asks something that nobody asked before, it's now learned that answer. So the next time somebody asks it, it will know the answer.
From AI, let's go to the second exhaustion, which is, I'd say that jokingly and lovingly, because it's going to open up so much opportunity. Some we've already talked about with porting and all, but that's eSIM.
Mm-hmm.
eSIM is now a word in our everyday lexicon, and eSIM is changing the game on how you activate, port, do all the different things. What is the pressure that eSIM is now putting on the various parts of our business, the carriers, the MVNOs, the OEM device makers, regulatories? What's Adam talk to people about with your organization as far as what challenges the folks I just mentioned are having with eSIM, if any?
So it's a double-edged sword, right? Like most things are. For the carriers, they're cheaper. They don't have to physically produce SIMs, ship SIMs out to the master who ships them out to the dealers, right? You don't have to do that anymore. It's easier to switch brands, carriers, MVNOs, which is a good thing, bad thing, depending on if you're being switched out of or switched into. So it's easier to do that. It provides for better products. NWIDA has a vendor partner that is a global travel SIM / hotspot device, which I've personally used in the UK, in France. That works beautifully. I go to Europe now, or anywhere pretty much. I don't take my phone off airplane mode, yet people can call me. I still have data, the whole 9 yards. And that's because I have a little eSIM device that no matter where I am, it scans, it picks up the network that it's in, it automatically switches over, it provides a little private hotspot, and I go on my way. So, yeah, like I said, double-edged sword, depends if you're the guy that's being switched out of or switched into. But again, and for the dealers, no more physical inventory. Phones can handle multiple eSIMs. I know iPhones can handle, I think it's 12. Only 2 can be active at any one time. But because they can handle multiple SIMs, my personal iPhone has service on the AT&T network, the Verizon network, and the T-Mobile network. I can only have 2 active at the same time, but that's okay. So if I go somewhere that my coverage is crappy, I hit a button and I flip to one of the other networks. And I don't have to stop, and I don't have to really do anything except hit a couple of soft keys on my phone. So, it is certainly the immediate future. I'm sure something else will come out better. The phone manufacturers like it. They don't need to build SIM trays in their phones anymore. iPhones stopped in the US. If you went to Europe or Asia or South America and bought an iPhone, it would still have a SIM tray. But in the US, they've stopped. So in theory, phones are cheaper to manufacture. But, it's the next great thing. And it's been around 4 or 5 years since it launched commercially.
I spoke to one of the top eSIM providers. There's a few. And I said, so what'd you find out in Vegas? He says, well, I found out that eSIM is not hype anymore. It's more in the maturity rate range.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And I guess with like anything else, we're going to see continuous improvement on version 1, 2, 3, 4, like we are with Wi-Fi and 5G, 6G, 7G. You just mentioned you travel a lot, a couple countries, and knowing you're not going to slow down. And global connectivity is now not something that's nice to have. For a lot of people, it's something that you must have. You have a solution with your hotspot you talked about, but if I don't want to carry another hardware with me connected to my phone, people are demanding now cross-border connectivity, cross the ocean connectivity, and roaming is I think if we can get to this place, roaming may be a thing of the past in the not too distant future. Are we overselling what may be the future as far as global connectivity? If I jump on a plane in New York area and I go to Europe, I want to use my same phone number. I don't want to pay somebody $10 a day. I don't want to have to get a travel SIM, which is the third exhaustion area I was not going to talk about today, but the travel SIMs. Everybody's back on that bandwagon. But is there a path to have true global connectivity? You and I remember when we were with McCall, which was the second or third name of the same company, and then it became AT&T Wireless, where he introduced the
SS7.
You didn't have to know that I was in Los Angeles and dial the 1.800 roam. You knew when I got off the plane, my phone registered, and you didn't know where I was. You could think I was in Florida, wherever. But do you see that with this whole global connectivity request by the consumers and the businesses that this could be a reality soon, that I just keep my number and you call me and, hey, I'll pick you up down the corner. Well, no, I'm actually in Paris right now.
Right.
That type of thing.
So it's there now, right? You can get on a plane, get off in Paris, turn your phone on, and people will call you. So that part works there. It's going to cost you $12 a day, usually. It used to be 10. Most carriers now raised it to 12. It's what I call a because we can fee, right? We charge it because we can. And I think what's going to happen as more people demand it, you mentioned the macaw days. If you remember, John, we used to charge for voicemail back then.
Yes, we did. Because we could.
Because we could. And it was, I think our first charge on voicemail, if I remember correctly, was $19.95 a month. And now everybody has voicemail for free. So I think it's kind of going down that path. It's $12 a day now. I think eventually it's going to go either to zero or a very, very minimal amount. What will happen is as the satellite connectivity gets better, you'll be able to use your phone on a cruise ship if you're cruising to Europe. Because obviously it's really hard to build a cell site in the middle of the ocean. But the satellites are there. So they'll do that. Or they might put a satellite antenna on the ship and then transfer that into Wi-Fi, and you'll call over Wi-Fi. There are a couple of different ways from a technical point of view to do it. Most of our listeners, your listeners, don't care. They just want it to work, right? So I think eventually the fees are going to get lower and lower. Right now it's a because we can fee. There's not enough people traveling. And the people who are and want to use that device and not carry something else and use their same phone number, they can do it for $12 a day. I just carried, it was the size of an external battery pack that I would carry around with me anyway. And I had my same number. Now, if you travel a lot and you need a UK number for your UK friends and family and clients, that's where the eSIM comes back in, right? I can have a UK eSIM, only 2 active, and just when I land, turn that on. I'll have a UK number, but I could have a UK SIM, I could have a French SIM, I can have a Nigerian SIM. I could have 12 different SIMs if I need it. Now, obviously, like you said, 12 different phone numbers. But if I want one number, technology-wise, can do it today. I'm going to pay $12 a day. Hopefully in the near future, that fee goes away.
So I overuse the term, as do you, differentiator when you're an MVNO. Why I'm going to leave Verizon or Mint or whoever to anybody else to come with you. And I think what I'm hearing is that there are new differentiators now that the carrier, which bleeds down to the MVNO, must deliver. What are some of those?
Historically, it was always the carrier held back a couple of things to differentiate themselves from the MVNOs, right? It used to be phones. So when iPhone 17 comes out, the best you could get at an MVNO would be a 16. You didn't have full U.S. roaming. People may or may not know because, back in the day, your phone used to light up and say roam. But, a couple of years ago, I was in Wyoming. I don't know how good AT&T's coverage is in Wyoming. It's very possible I was roaming on a local cellular network that AT&T has an agreement with. But it doesn't say roam anymore, so I don't know for sure. But they used to hold back, roaming availability. Right. And I think to a degree they still hold some stuff back. I think it's important to differentiate between an MVNO and a brand. Mint used to be an MVNO. T-Mobile bought them. Simple and Total used to be MVNOs. Verizon bought them.
So is the differentiator now, I mean, nobody talks about speed of the network anymore, but I do hear people talking about, I need clear, understandable pricing. And we're not going to talk about specific carriers, but, changing rate plans or your rate plan has now been eliminated from our stack, but I had a multi-year guarantee. Well, that's okay, but that doesn't exist anymore. I want honesty. I want clear pricing. If you put a map up on your website or in the store where I bought my phone, I want to make sure that it works where you say it works. As we talked earlier, I want a seamless setup. on my phone. I don't have to wait, 4 hours or 10 hours for it to port or to get lit up, with all these other problems. And I always say when when I was managing teams back in the day, that no surprises. I mean, I don't want to be surprised. Like, I didn't know that this didn't do this or that. I mean, how do our dealers communicate the value system and the value benefits to the customer when they're selling an MVNO or a carrier?
So that's a big question, John. Let me break it out. So things like coverage maps, which if you read the bottom of any coverage map, it actually says this does not depict actual coverage. That can't be helped. There's not an MVNO that's going to redo their carrier's coverage map. That kind of falls into where the dealer becomes the wireless expert, where he says, okay, well, you want the blue SIM. That doesn't really work well on Main Street here. You should probably try the purple SIM, So the dealer needs to know where the coverage holes are as far as coverage maps go. As far as pricing, same thing. What happens if I have a 3 gig data plan, and what happens when I hit 3 gig? Does it slow down? Does it get turned off? Is there a hard cap? That's stuff that the dealer should know and should explain. Carriers don't want to be extraordinarily forward with that. What is an unlimited data plan? Say, gentlemen, you know very well, John once said, unlimited does not mean unreasonable. What does that mean? So as long as I think the dealer is honest as they can be, and what I train dealers in saying is that it's okay to say, I don't know, let me find out, right? I don't want a dealer to go, oh, Main Street's got great coverage. Just put this SIM in, you'll be fine. When either he just doesn't know or, he's full of BS. You're going to be better off in the long term developing that relationship and developing that trust with your customers. So if you don't know if coverage is good there, say, hey, I don't know, but let me try and find out for you. I'll get back to you. If the dealer can create that relationship, create that trust, that's where the win is.
I think what I've taken away from this, with all the changes, which are going to keep our industry healthy, the wireless business, mobility, satellite, whatever you want to call it these days, the forecast is for this industry to continue to grow year after year, to continue to find new subscribers. Yes, we have a finite amount of people in this country, but we have travelers coming in. We have younger people that are getting their first device. We have a satellite, which is going to hopefully supplement your current phone. That we're just going to continue to be healthy, continue to innovate, and continue to see people getting more value out of their handset. So my message, if I take anything away from our discussion today, is that the dealer, he needs to continue to educate himself on what he's selling first. And almost as important, know where he's better than his competitor. If someone says, I'm deciding between Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile, and he's a Verizon dealer, well, this is what Verizon can do for you. And we're better than the other two in these areas, if in fact he's being truthful. And just, embrace the learning that's available through your dealer training, your carrier or MVNO training. And again, we all have some downtime. I like to just go online like I know you do and just look at stuff that I'm not the expert at.
Learning is the constant. Go to industry events. Go to things like the All Wireless Expo. They have great
panels. Don't even
panels.
Go online.
But I'm saying go there in person because they have great panels. There's people constantly learning, teaching, educating. Everything that's new is usually fairly well documented. Stay on top of your industry. If you it goes back to becoming the wireless or the connectivity expert.
Good. You have a lot of members in the NWIDA, the National Wireless Independent Dealer Association. If I'm watching this or listening to it and I want to become part of NWIDA and get all the benefits, not only advocacy, but discounts on things that you use every day in your store, and everything from, slat walls to legal advice to health benefits, et cetera, how does one contact NWIDA?
NWIDA.org, right there.
There it is.
And Jon, you said it. I just want to touch on it real quick. Two different sides on the insurance side. A lot of insurance companies stopped writing policies, business policies for the stores. And as I'm going to say, the majority of the people watching this have learned, their health costs have gone up dramatically since the first of the year. Mine did. So NWIDA launched 2 programs towards the end of last year. One is for business insurance. One is for health insurance, either for the store owner, the store manager, or for your employees. You can actually save real money and get covered and get health insurance, which is so important. Again, I'm speaking from personal experience.
And retain your employees.
And retain your employees. You can do it for cheaper than you thought. But yeah, like you said, Jon, everything you need to run a wireless store, credit card processing, payroll processing, devices, SIM cards, services. You mentioned getting new customers as young adults get their first devices, children's phones, children's watches, accessories, obviously, repair parts, anything you need to run a wireless shop. NWIDA is going to save you on average between 10 and 40%. I think we say now you can save upwards of $25,000 a year. So NWIDA.org. Jon, for your listeners, give us a try. We'll let you join the association for 2 months for $1. That's also on the website. So spend $1, start saving money. If you like it, you can renew.
Very good. And just to make it clear, NWIDA is not selling to the stores. Your vendor partners are.
It's our buying partner. We've contracted with about 30 different vendors who do this. We don't do credit card processing. We have a credit card processor.
Adam Wolf, President of the National Wireless Independent Dealer Association, thank you for coming on for your 3rd time. We're not going to make the jacket yet until you have one more under your belt, but
it's a medium if you want to get a head start.
It's a medium. Okay. So thank you for joining us. That's going to wrap up another edition of the Boon of Wireless Podcast. And as always, we'll see you next time. Do you want to be a guest on the Boon of Wireless Podcast? Give us a call at 908-THE-BOON. Yes, 908-843-2666.